Aloha. Today, let's talk about leverage. Now, I'm not talking financial leverage, although that's helpful when you're wanting to buy a house and you don't have enough money. You can get a mortgage with a down payment. I'm talking about how to use leverage in your life when it seems like the odds are stacked against you. Now, if you feel like you're working so hard to get an outcome, this is for you. Because you want to work smarter, not harder. We're using the wrong tools most of the time. And I'm going to show you a couple things that will leverage in our life, especially if you think that the odds are stacked against you. We're not able to achieve what we want. We are frustrated with events that are going on in the world today or in our house. Then you want to know that you can position your life and your actions in order to get more of what you want. I had to learn it the hard way. I'm trying to prevent that for you. I had to look at what was going on. Looking back at it, it was like, how did this 5'5" girl coming out of high school think that she could ever achieve the things that I've done? In fact, when I talk to young people about it, I find that it's just so beyond their scope about what's possible. I just want you to know it is possible because I've done it. I've beat the odds. How did I find out about it? I had to just do, just take action, not assume that things wouldn't work out. I had to take action, do my best, and work hard at it. What happens when we're under pressure and things get so tough, oftentimes we're looking in the wrong direction. We're focusing on the wrong thing. For example, some of you knew that I did anti-terrorism driving. When you're in a skid, what they found is that many people without any skills, if you're skidding and you're coming to a pole, you focus on the pole. And when you're focusing on the pole, instead of where you want to go, chances are what's going to happen? You're going to hit the pole. Whether it's the wall or the pole, you want to be focusing on where you want to go. I want you to realize that leverage, it's always out there. If you looked at the picture coming into this, you would see using a stick with a big rock. What happens is people are pushing against the rock and they're expecting a new change. It's not going to happen. Usually we can't do it. Now, we could get a whole bunch of people to help us, like we do with lifting cars in emergencies or moving things in emergencies. But if it's just you, then what leverage can you use in order to move in the direction that you want, or move physical things or moving people? What does it take to move them? Does it take you telling them to move them? Tell them what they should be doing? Not in my book. Most of us don't work that way. You want to make it their idea. How do you make it their idea? Well, I talked about questions in an earlier video. Empowerment tool number one is effective questions. You can ask a question in a way to move someone who may not otherwise be predisposed to what you're doing. Why? Because you ask the question in a way, it makes it their idea and they come to their conclusion for their reasons because that's what's going to help. Remember, all these videos with some practical ways to look at the world is going to be posted on my Stress Intelligence channel. Please subscribe. You'll be able to get the powerful impact of what these topics cover when you look at the whole thing, because they're very practical ways to look at stress that affects us, stops us in our tracks, keeps us from our dreams, and prevents us from living the life that we think we ought to be living or that we want to be living. What I'd like to offer you at this point is an acronym to think about. You know I like acronyms. They help us remember what it is that is most important. The acronym is LEVER. What's the L? The L is lock in your desired outcome. When things aren't working out and we feel out of control, We want to pause and make sure we know, what do I want this to look like? What do I want when it's all done? What do I want to achieve? Some people just look at the immediate. What we want to do is your desired outcome, not just the immediate, but in long term. What would that look like? We lose energy and focus when we can't define it. We are scattered. We want to have that desired outcome so clearly in our mind as if we're already achieving it. Leverage starts with that clarity. What's the first E? Evaluate your resources. A lot of times when we panic, we're stressed out because it just seems such an immovable requirement, then you have to take a look at what's available. Chances are you may have a tool or something. I've used many tools. Like sometimes I don't have a screwdriver, I find a dime. A dime can be used and you can apply that. When you pause here, I want you to ask, what do I have? Who's available? Who's in my corner? What skills, time, activities, or systems can I activate in order to help me move in the direction that I want? We want to evaluate your resources because chances are it's available to you. I think about that big rock where people are trying to push that rock, and the stick could be over in the corner, but they're not thinking about putting the stick underneath in order to push. And being able to take what once was an immovable object just by pushing, you can get some leverage and move that object. What was the V in lever? V is view obstacles as opportunities. Many times we get so stopped by an obstacle and we just stare at the obstacle. We can't seem to move past it. But if you want to get to the other side, you want to be figuring, how do I get over there? Do I go over it? Do I go under it? Do I go to the right, left? Do I move it? What do I have to do? This is a real turning point because many people get stuck in it being hard and impossible. But when you find that lever and you find, oh, that's going to happen, that pressure may be uncomfortable at times, but it's the very thing that can help us with the immovable. Another story has to do with Katrina because it was a terrible, terrible time in Katrina, as we know, when the hurricane hit New Orleans. And I wondered, I found out later, what was the one thing that after the aftermath started to get people moving, regaining hope, and really moving in a positive direction to rebuild and stop fighting with each other or just being lost in the horrible thing that happened, which it was. You know what that was? It was when the kids went to school. When the kids went to school, some sense of normalcy happened. Even though the horrible obstacle was the hurricane, there were ways to get back to normalcy. Not normal, but normalcy. It was getting the kids back in school. What could it be in your circumstance? We want to take a look at that. What is the next E? The next E I kind of alluded to, but you want to engage your allies and tools because it could be a person that could help you, or it could be some tool that you haven't thought of yet, like effective question. Could be something physical, like a stick. You have to take a look at your circumstance. Sometimes when we are looking at this, you just have to realize you don't have to do this alone. Sometimes you do, but not all the time. We may not be in a good position to get people to do it, but it could be people, it could be frameworks like I provide with these acronyms, or habits or technology, which is continuing to evolve. Those are things that can help you reach beyond your own personal strength and hook into what's out there for you. So engage your allies and tools to be able to achieve what leverage you need. Or, now that you have that, this is going to help you reposition for optimal impact. When you're pushing so hard, instead of working harder, you want to work smarter We talk about this in many, many ways. It's so easy to see physically, but a lot of times in a situation where it's people stress, for example, a tough boss or something like that, then you want to stop pushing hard and figure out where do you need to reposition for that optimal impact. I had a hard lesson I learned after the circumstance was I had a boss who was just constantly on my case for many, many things. I learned that my inclination was to avoid him, not want to be around him. What I learned is one, have strong allies at higher levels and keep them informed of what's going on. But the other piece was to over inform him, to give him more information and not take it personally because I could see he did it with everybody. I had someone who came in a job after me with another boss, came in a job after me, and he didn't even last 2 weeks before he was screamed at and humiliated in front of a group of people. At that point, he said, I'll finish this job and then I'm retiring. And he did that. He did that. That may be a way to deal with it. I chose not to let this one person in that leadership position stop me. But he was infuriating in times. If I had overinformed, I might have had a better chance. There's always leverage. And I didn't bring together allies. I just tried to deal with it myself. In hindsight, I'm able to see how to do that. Right now, you can get benefits by subscribing to my Stress Intelligence channel. It's youtube.com at Stress Intelligence. Many people can use leverage for harm. What's leverage for harm? Using fear, intimidation, putting people down in front of others, the humiliation tactic. Those are leverage because it oftentimes stops people in their track from resisting. But you don't have to be confrontational as they are. You can find a different way in order to influence. Sometimes it's just by sheer numbers. They may not listen to the one, but they may listen to a large number of people. It's the idea you don't have to do more, but you have to do it differently. This is designed for mentally tough women, building them like you, who are driven, who care about what's happening, who are trying to do it all and tired of being tired. And also for those men who I know have been listening, and I appreciate you listening because you want to succeed and you want others to succeed. So if that's you, this is your lever. Use this, and hopefully this will help you because you don't have to do more. You just have to do it differently. Let's use leverage in order to achieve a better world and help people make better choices, be able to deal with the toxic environments that we often find ourselves, because that's how this 5'5" woman in a completely male dominated, sorry guys, male dominated West Point Army engineer, okay, 3 strikes against me, was able to last for a 30-year active career and command at levels of billions of dollars. Now, using it every day in nonprofits and individuals who need help, and being able to understand how not to keep working harder and thinking you're going to get the same result, but working smarter. Thank you for joining me today. Aloha.